1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I thought, why not do an afternoon of art in real time so that we can study and make art together. I'm Sam, and this is my little art room in the northwest of England, which you're very welcome into today. And I'm probably going to work mainly on a comic today, but I thought, yeah, I would film this in real time. And I've had a few people say to me like they like putting these videos on in the background and working to them, or like working on their own art or whatever, and that totally makes sense because that's what I also do with a lot of YouTube videos. I have them on in the background, and sometimes I really like long videos that I can just sit with and I don't need to think, what am I going to watch next, what have I got to, you know, line up after this 10 minutes is over. So that's what today's going to be, and I quite like study videos myself, so I thought that's what we do today. So if you want to make art, if you want to study, if you just want to stare at a wall, then maybe I can be your companion. That sounds weird, I don't know. Anyway, let's go on with it. It's already 1 o'clock, so it is an afternoon. It's an afternoon. It is Saturday, but I had no plans, so I might as well work. I want to work on this comic more and get it sorted so that I don't get behind on Webtoon, which I recently started uploading it to, which is exciting. I like Webtoon. I'm quite a fan. So we'll see. But yes. Sorry, my dad came upstairs and was making noise. I'm generally not going to try and like cut this too much, you know, it's going to just be real time, as I say. But yeah, when my dad comes up and makes noise, what can you do about it? Parents, eh? Yeah, I do live at home at 27, so I have to be a bit prepared for noise sometimes. But yes, I've set my iPad up, and I'm gonna draw now. Just for context, I'm drawing my my serial comic, Toast to the Machine, and I'm on like the 3rd section of one story arc. Like there's going to be a whole story arc yet. Yeah, I'm sort of like halfway through the storyline of this first. Like, say I was writing an episode. This is like I'm halfway through an episode, if that makes sense. If this was a cartoon, which gets me on to something I was thinking about, but I might say it while I'm drawing rather than keep rambling on now. I am going to talk at times while drawing, not the whole time, but like, do be prepared for that. It's not going to be complete silence. I'm probably going to randomly say things, but I won't like randomly shout or anything. Although I did do that. I was once on a Zoom call, and I thought I'd muted myself, and my dad was shouting at me from the other room, and I was like, what did you say, at the top of my voice? And like 7 people in the call like jumped out of their skin. So that was funny. Never know how to film these things, honestly. Terrible at it. But anyway, yeah, the Bob's Burgers thing I mentioned. I'm just gonna stop my music because I can't concentrate. Yeah. Yeah, in terms of episodes, I was thinking about how when you're making something like this, you can get yourself down worrying that it's not good enough practically before you've even like given it a chance. Like I was getting in my own head about this, like it's not good enough, it's not interesting enough, I can't put enough like meaning into it, and I want to make meaningful work. I don't want it to just be not that there's anything wrong with things just being fun and interesting, but like I just, you know, was like, I want to do something that hits on real issues and whatever else, you know. And I was getting myself down like, this won't do that. And not only did I end up thinking to myself like, that's completely untrue anyway, because this has like, you can do whatever you want with a story like this. Like you can take it into loads of different directions because it has that like room to change over time, as much as you want. But also I was like, why am I judging this this new project so harshly? And I kind of reminded myself of this like metaphor that I thought of about Bob's Burgers, which is one of my favourite shows. That like making a comic like this, like essentially I'm only halfway through like the equivalent of one episode of Bob's Burgers. Like essentially that's all I've made here so far. And like obviously doing it all on my own as well, rather than having like a team of people helping me like you would on something like that. But like I was thinking to myself, it's so easy to like judge yourself as if it's all like laid out and done for, like this is all it'll ever be. Don't think I phrased that very well, but you know what I mean. I think you know what I mean. Like as if it's already kind of a done deal and there's no more you can do. When actually it's only at its very beginnings. And as the time goes on, I'm sure it will improve and change and have loads of opportunity for lots of different storylines. And it's more just the fear of like committing to something, I think, for a long period of time, and it not turning out to be what you thought it would be. Sorry, I'm just having to think how the pan would go. Maybe like that. Does that make sense? It's really hard to like picture the movement you're trying to put in sometimes. But yeah, I asked myself like if I could go back and see the first ever episode of Bob's Burgers and think about really what I thought of it just on its own, I probably never would have predicted that I would like it so much. Like I liked that first episode, but I never would have thought that it would be something I loved so much and that would comfort me in like times of difficulty, and that I would even watch with my parents, and my parents have seen every episode with me, and that, you know, it's really a comforting thing for me. We even like watch the... Sorry, I'm just aware of noise downstairs. We even like watch the Halloween and Christmas specials. Like we go through them all sometimes, and anytime, you know, I see it on TV, I'm like, brilliant. But yeah, what I'm saying is, how do you judge something? Just you wouldn't judge a cartoon just on one single episode. So why do we judge ourselves on like the very beginning of a project when that's just the beginning, you know? And like when I ask myself, like there's episodes of Bob's Burgers that I don't love, that I don't think are all that. And there's episodes that I absolutely adore, and that's the nature of things. But yeah, if you're a creative or an artist working on something right now, and you don't have to be a new artist, I'm saying like any new project, anything that you've like just started, like remind yourself that it's got so far to go, and don't kind of quit before you've even tried. Yeah, I don't know. Does that make sense? I think sometimes there's such an urgency, like you feel there's an urgency. The world is really scary and dark, and I think we can think to ourselves like, I've got to be spending my time wisely, and I do want to do that. I think that's right, you know, but at the same time, we've all got to find the way to do that. We don't always know from the beginning, you know, what is the right thing to do, the right project, and is there even a right? I'm getting philosophical now, but you know, how do we know what's right and what's worth it and what's you know, going to work out? We don't. We've just got to sometimes like stick to a path and go for it and try our best. That's all we can do, really. I think this hand isn't right. and this whole angle is not quite right of this pan. I'm not very good at perspective. I try and practice it, and honestly it's a whole thing. I normally watch TV while I work, but often I get this at the weekend. I'm not as much in the mood for stuff. Or if I do, I don't want it to be background, I want to pay attention to it, so I don't want to watch it now when I can't really fully pay attention. Doesn't look right, does it? It looks like a dog bowl. What do pans look like? Maybe smell that. Maybe they wouldn't. Ah, yeah, that's true. Maybe they wouldn't even have something like this. They'd have like a hot plate, wouldn't they? Maybe. Or would they? I don't know at this point. Maybe they would. They'd have like a whole hot plate. That seems to make sense, doesn't it? I love cheese toasties. That's part of the reason that I made this comic. I don't know if this is zoomed in enough, but I'm thinking to myself, actually, I can just zoom it in later if I want to, with the editing process. But I quite like the idea of him holding a pan. That's the trouble. Maybe just a bigger pan. A much bigger pan with like a grill. Maybe like a square pan even. Maybe that's what I do, like a big square pan. Bit easier for me to draw as well because I can do perspective is often built on squares. She says, knowing nothing about it. I just said it's my weakness, and now I'm like, I know loads about perspective actually. I feel like my accent's going all over the place today. I can hear it in my voice. I think it's when I'm making videos, you're more like aware of your voice. I'm obviously a northerner, but I live now in my hometown again, and I have done for the past 6 years. But I also have family in London, and I lived in Cornwall for uni. And at the time I was borderline bullied for my northern accent, surrounded by southerners all the time, no northerners in sight. So it was dark times, for more ways than one. But yeah. Does that look like a pan? It looks absolutely massive, doesn't it? Oh God, what am I doing? This is what this is like. People think it's so easy. No, they don't, but I think they think maybe the art process is quite relaxing, but it is actually. I love being in amongst the art process, but it can also be like tearing your hair out sometimes. Does that even look like a pan? I don't know what it looks like. Just a table. No, I don't like that either, to be honest. I think it's got to be a round pan again. I promise there will be some better drawing in the video. You'll notice on this panel as well, I'm doing some quite bigger like comic panels. I think it's partly I've been influenced by a manga I was reading, that maybe I'll show later if I remember. But it's quite an old manga that got in this big volume, and I've been getting each one. And but the panels are quite large. It's quite expansive, and I really like it. It's just like slice of life, and it's actually about a robot, which is cool. A robot that runs a coffee shop. It was really cool actually to find it. I found it before I started this. After I started this. It was just serendipitous. I was like, wow. It's funny like how you find things that, are quite similar to what you're making. I always say it's okay not to have a new idea. You just got to do it in a new way. I used to be someone who was like, you've got to think of a really great idea. And then I was like, why? Because everything's done again, over and over again. And that's fine. It's just like finding a new way to do it and like not being a complete, copyright, like not being a complete copier, and just taking someone else's idea entirely. But it's kind of like certain tropes, I just feel like you could do them again and again and people don't get tired of them. Like vampires. I don't get tired of vampires, ever. I used to like vampire stuff when I was young, and it's just fun and spooky to me. I like spooky stuff. Ghosts as well. Anything with ghosts in it. I'm not really a big horror person. It's got to be like spooky but not scary. But yeah, if you've got a ghost in a thing you're watching, tell me about it, because I love ghost stuff. Like BBC Ghosts. It's such a great little show, isn't it? I've got a sticker from it somewhere, but no, it's probably not up. I feel like that pan is a better shape, isn't it? We're getting somewhere. I've got this really cute little pan that I always cook my food in, because I'm always cooking just for one. Because it's not that I'm... Oh, my stomach's rumbling. Because, I'm usually just cooking for myself. And it's not that I'm like unwilling to cook for my parents, but I'm a vegetarian and I don't eat a lot of dairy either, because I'm lactose intolerant, I think, anyway, because I've done a lot of maths with dairy over the years, and pretty much anything that's high in lactose that I've ever looked up is what's made me the most ill, so I'm just going to take the executive decision to not eat lactose as much. But yeah, so they like meat and lactose, so they don't want to eat my weird food. My dad's more open to it, but yeah, I get tired sometimes. I'm not always the best at cooking, but I get tired sometimes is such an understatement. I'm a permanently tired person. Not so much these days, actually, but for a number of years I had a real fatigue issue, really bad fatigue issue. But mostly was mental things that I managed to deal with a bit better, managed to manage better. That's a really vague way of explaining, but story for another time, I think. What was I actually saying? Something about cooking. Oh, just going to say that, like, I often have ideas that involve food or cooking, like this, for example, because I think it's weird, even though food has been a tough thing for me sometimes, I really love I like when food is shown in a positive way and it's celebrated how it brings people together, and it's shown as something that is there to heal, I don't know what the word is. I was going to say heal you, but I think that's not... I don't know. That's not really what I mean necessarily. Just that it's a positive thing, and it's joyful, and I like cooking shows. I find it calming, because I think cooking for yourself can be really, I don't know, just boring sometimes, and day in, day out. And if you've ever had issues with food, which I have in a small way sometimes, it can be hard to like get back to feeling like food is a positive thing sometimes. How do you hold a pan? I actually have this hand that helps me sometimes because I can't picture how things are done. How would you hold a pan? Like that, I guess. What do you think? That's how you'd hold the pan? The pan would be there? I don't know what I was doing then. Let's have a pan handle. This pen. This is a great pen, by the way. A refillable fountain pen, this is. Yeah. But yeah, that's the pan. Yeah, that seems right. So I guess I've done that wrong, haven't I? Again. still feel like the angle is a bit off because it would be lower down, but I don't know how else to draw it. Or would it be lower down? Oh god. This isn't showing my professionalism much, is it? I'm not a professional, far from it. I am constantly making things up as I go along. Right. The good thing about Tin is like his hands are naturally just blocks. That's how I designed him, so actually really convenient. I actually think that's not far off, but it's the wrong angle, so I might just... Do you know, you put this on thinking it would be chill and I'd be quiet, and I am chatting away. What is that? What have I done there? No, that's still not right, is it? Oh, have I put the thumb on the wrong side? That's why. I could just flip it. No, I can't. That doesn't work either, does it? Honest to God. Right. Yeah, that's the thing, like when you're drawing, you sometimes forget things like what side are people's thumbs on, like things like that. It's funny how you forget what things look like. It sounds funny, but whoa. Tin's hands are so easy to draw, she said. Still doesn't make sense, does it? I'm not happy about this, actually. Right, think logically with your mind. I think it's that it would be like there, isn't it? Right, if that was the panhandle, I only just need a bit of its hand, really, don't I? He could be holding it like this as well, couldn't he? Let's just do that. He's literally witnessing me cut corners here, but I'm not cutting a corner, I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to end this section. Right, I think that looks at least logical. His arm's down there. Yeah, that's believable, isn't it? I think that's the trouble, is that because the panhandle would be like at his waist height, wouldn't it? It wouldn't be up here. But then I'm trying to still show it. Yeah, later on if I'm listening to music and you hear me singing. No, you didn't. I actually used to be a songwriter, can you believe that? That's what I studied at music. That's what I studied at uni. I did music. I studied music. I've got a degree in music. I'm telling all today. But yeah, I didn't study this, what we're doing here. I did say that in a comment to someone. But people often assume that I've studied it, but I didn't. Just for your info. Yeah, maybe that even logically would make sense. But yeah, I think maybe I'd do a video one day like about why I didn't quit music completely, but why I pursued this instead. Because I literally for years studied music all through my childhood basically. And then I just totally abandoned it. And why I did that, I guess, would be an interesting story, maybe. Maybe. Do you know, the funny thing is, if in the comments you like tell me a great solution, I might not appreciate it because I'm probably going to have made it by now. I'm probably just going to have to accept it. Although one day, you know, if you ever buy this, if you like this comic and you ever buy it, you can look at this bit and laugh and think, gosh, you really struggled with that. It was embarrassing. Don't know what I was going to say then. You're getting very unfiltered this time. Right, should we have a bit of fire underneath, maybe? I have a phobia of fire, that's another little info about me. I thought it's not as bad now, which is nice. What kind of hob would they have? I think they'd have an electric hob. We're in 2152 here in the comic. So there'd be no fire. What am I even talking about? It would be electric, wouldn't it? Let's be real. So let me draw that. How do you draw an electric hob? Looks like nothing, doesn't it? Nothing's going on. I think, yeah, just like a hob circle is going to work, isn't it? Like a hob circle like that. Even put like a nice cute design, like a star or something. No, that looks like I'm trying to draw fire badly, doesn't it? Reverse. Okay. You know those people that say, like, don't do this? Do this. Like, I can do that, but sometimes you want to do this. I think everyone should just stop telling each other what to do, personally. Right. Do that, I think. That's intruding on the pan. Maybe like a cross hatch. Nice, cute. Okay. That makes some sense, doesn't it? And do like another one suggested there. So yeah, like in the comic, Tin cooks a lot, and Joni does a lot of the organising, even though Joni, actually, he's a chef and she likes cooking the most. She's really good at it and she likes to design the recipes and stuff. But that's part of the comic story, really, that she doesn't have as much time to cook as she would like because she ends up doing the admin and things. So I'm doing the line work now. I'm not going to add too much shading or colour or anything because I kind of like to wait till I'm doing the colour. Like what I mean is right now, like that's probably going to be black, it might be, or it might be like a dark colour at least, but I'm not going to do it right now just in case I change my mind about it. This is the just the line work I'm doing here. So I'm going to do the lines round now, I think. This is one of the only bits that I allow a bit of assistance from Procreate because not that there's anything wrong with having assistance from Procreate, but I tend to like my lines to be more scratchy and natural. But I do let it help me draw straight lines because I'm really bad at that. I'm still bad at even the helping bit. Right, do this correctly. No, I'm starting it too low down, I think. There we go. Hey, we've done it. You might notice there's like an R written here. It means right, and I've got an L for Joni here because what it is when I'm just going to delete this, it's just a reference for the hand. When I'm making this, it's actually like quite hard to remember where the characters are sometimes in the space relevant to each other. So I'm always writing down right and left to remember like where they are in a space together, so in the truck together at the moment. Like here, I haven't actually drawn them in here yet because I wanted to draw this first and think like what pose he was in, kind of. But like, in a sense, Tin is here, Joni is here, like, so I need to remember that like Tin is on the right if we're looking at the van and Joni is on the left so that things kind of make sense. Sort of like if, you know, I suddenly had Joni talking to Tin, I want her to look that way because Tin's on the right. If she looked to the left, it wouldn't make sense because he's not stood there, if that makes sense. It's all these little things that I think as a reader you don't think you'd necessarily maybe notice, but I think subconsciously you end up noticing it somehow, or it just doesn't look quite right. I guess put some little like, I don't know what I'm going to do about the interior of this van as well, right, if I'm going to add any details. Because I liked adding the little bunting here, and I do like detailed interiors, like personally as a viewer. So I don't want to necessarily like not put anything like that in. But, you know, it's more to draw and it can be a bit much sometimes. Put that on like, he's put it on that one. He's got that on fairly high. He's cooking away, but this one is off. So I put it down there like that. And maybe we've got another one for summer, I don't know. Don't know what that is. Just random buttons, why not? Yeah, because there might be more hobs along the back. I don't know. Maybe there'd just be two. Let's just leave it like that. Like a little. I don't know what that is. When in doubt, just randomly draw stuff. Right, I've got to do the stripes on the tin now. You'd be surprised, but this is something I actually have to always look back at because I always forget how many stripes I have to put him on. Because like here already I made an error here, you see. There's more stripes on this top there than there is there. And it's hard to be consistent sometimes. What did I go for in the end though? I think I went for just 2. 1, 2 and 3 on the arms, which doesn't actually make much sense, but it's what I went with eventually. Logically you'd think there'd be the same amount, like 3 on the top, 3 on the arms, but that's not how I've designed it, so I'm just going with it now. I think though, actually I'm saying that, but part of his design for me is that he's got really long arms. I don't know. I don't know why, but yeah, okay. So his stripe tends to start about here. They're quite thick as well, so it might not even end before that ends. Probably about there, and then I think his shoulders tend to start, yeah, it tends to start right at his shoulder, doesn't it? Or does it? You know, clever people, like, they spend ages doing character design and they have everything set out so that they never have to worry about this, they can just refer to their character design. But I'm not like that. I just throw myself at projects, just get on with it, and, well, not get on with it, I don't know what the word is, I just make it up as I go along. With sheer audacity, I don't know. Does he have, how does the jacket end? That's my question. There's a recent one. Ah, okay. So, I think, yeah, that would probably be a bit of a wrong, bit too high up. So the stripe maybe would end about there. So I'm going to colour that one. It's ironic, I am going to colour this in. I know I just said that, well, a while ago I said I didn't colour things in, but I am going to do it now. With tin, I know that's part of his design, so I know that I won't change my mind because that's how I've always done it since the beginning. So, how does his cuff of his shirt end as well? It's like in the white, but yeah. Da, da, da. Doesn't really matter down here because I know what I'm doing. It's not really showing it the arm as much. Just decided to just hide the arm basically and just say it's there somewhere, guys. His arm's there somewhere. Right, yeah, I'm happy with that. Let's colour it in. Slightly bigger brush. I only really use 2 weights of brush, weights of pencil in this one, and I have them saved 33 and 12 it seems. They're the 2 I use. My line work is a bit thin sometimes and I feel like that can show on screen, but then I think actually when things are printed, often print goes, you know, line work goes darker. Kind of like, just take this off for a minute, like this is from this same comic and I feel like it you know, the line work looks a bit darker. I don't know, does it though? I don't know if it does. Oh dear. It's quite nice being able to draw Tin in the apron and with the spatula, because that's like how I first drew him. Like this robot with this big long apron on, with wielding his spatula for his toasties that he made. But it's actually the first time in the comic that I've drawn it, because in the comic they've only just got to work. In the other two like little installments, it was like they got up for work. If you've not seen it, I'll just briefly say, I won't bore you if you have heard it, but yeah, they get up for work. Joni's very much not a morning person, and Tin has to like drag her out of bed. And she's, you know, we're seeing a sign that she's maybe a bit like tired out from the job. And they get in the van, they set off to work, and then they have a mishap when they see somebody in the road. And at first, Tin sort of runs away because he thinks it could be a zombie. He has this like really big fear of zombies, hates them. So he's really worried, and it turns out it's just a person who's like absolutely exhausted. And they work at the Tower Labs, which we don't know much about yet, but it's like going to be quite a relevant thing to this comic. And Joni sort of says, right, we'll take them to work with us, this person. They need help. And they can have a sleep. And then, you know, go from there, whatever they want to do. So at this point in the comic that I'm drawing here, that person is just like asleep in the van in the front here. And Joni and Tin are essentially just getting on with their day while that person rests. So yeah, this is the first time, even though this is what the theme of the comic is, essentially, this is their whole job, and Toast the Machine, that's their whole business. This is the first time I've actually drawn it, which is quite cool. Because it was like setting things up, I guess. I could have like started at this point, you know, I could have started with them in the van, but I just didn't. I don't know, I just didn't fancy that. I've just been kind of making this up as I go along, and sometimes I don't know where it's going to go next. I pretty much know now the trajectory of the rest of this little story arc, but I didn't until quite recently. But yeah, exciting. I'm just going to look without the guide for a minute. Yeah, happy with that. So far. I'm not going to add any details to the background right this minute, because I just want to have a think whether I want to do that, how I want to do it. So I think I'm going to just work on Joni now. So I do tend to get a bit of a reference for them, so that I just have something to start from. Probably my favourite drawing of Joni is actually this one. So I might start with that to an extent, but it's a very different kind of gaze and look about her. But I like this one as well. Yeah, I've been finding it's really hard to draw a person consistently. That's part of the reason I'm making this comic, to like practice things like that. But it's really hard. It's really challenging to get that right. Oh, I mustn't have a version. I don't have a version without the colour in this one for some reason. Which is not great, but what can you do? So I like paste it in and just have a think like, yeah, that could somewhat work. Obviously I think, yeah, I want the gaze to be quite different, so I'm gonna, and maybe even the look, I'm just gonna make that really opaque, really just vaguely there, so I just sort of know what's going on. It's just to remind me, really. Yeah, I mean, you should take breaks when you do things like this, I guess. I don't want to encourage, you know, not resting enough when you're working, but I'm not necessarily going to take that many breaks. I don't know, we'll see. Once I'm in the zone, it's quite hard for me to abandon it. Even my eyes, I'm supposed to like look at a distance because my eyesight I only need my glasses for this kind of thing and for reading. I don't have like, my eyesight generally is fine. It's just when I'm focusing on stuff that I have it. I gave Joni quite like an oval face. It's gonna be a bit hard when I'm turning it round because I don't really know, like, yeah. Also, is that the right side of her head? Right. It's funny, like, if you add a detail on a certain side of someone's face, you're like, yeah, that's right, that's right. Yeah, consistency can be really hard in things like this. Where on earth am I going? Yeah. You know, you want to make things look consistent, but drawing someone over and over again in different environments, in different moods, it's tough for it to have that same vibe. And like, my style is like, it's not overly complex, but it's not really simplistic either. And I think if you have a really simple style, it's a bit easier to keep things consistent. I'm not saying it's easy. Don't, you know. Because I actually think simple styles can be really challenging in a very different way, to like still communicate what you're trying to communicate, even when like things are really like pared down to their, what would be the phrase be, like, you know, when you've not got a lot of other indicators of an expression, for example, you're really making something a lot more simple. It can be hard to then like adjust it'd be hard to communicate something through that. I actually think this reference isn't helping me much. It's not half bad though. I just wanted it to be a bit more turned than that image. But I think she wasn't meant to be like completely turned round. It was just like, she's just kind of looking at the customer. So like that, yeah, that's fine actually. That's fine. The neck, how's that gonna go? There and there maybe? Oh, this is the wrong layer. It's quite good to I often put the opacity down on my other layers so that I can tell if I'm accidentally drawing on the wrong layer, because I'll notice, like I did then, I noticed because it wasn't like a solid black. What is she wearing? Oh yeah, of course, she's wearing that. She always wears a check shirt, much like me. I know I'm not wearing one right now, which is ironic, but I often do, especially when I'm out and about in the world. Yeah, I'm alright with that actually, that's nice. Just wondering, like, body language though wise, do I want it to be a bit more like, yeah, I don't know if I want her to like lean over a bit more, like pass it over a bit more. also think it's a bit big actually, this whole thing. This is it again where I think that sometimes this is just like confusing you more than helping you. Right. Light, do I want it to be light? Because this is it, when I do the plan, it's really basic. It's like literally just to, basically just to decide like how many panels is it going to be and how many pages. It's really not a massive like clear plan of what I want to do, which can make the inking process quite long and difficult because I've not really worked out like how I want things to look. But at the same time, I kind of like to do that because I like to keep things a bit spontaneous rather than like have it all planned out to a T. To a T. What am I going to do? Picture it, picture it. Would it be like that? Like, does it need to be more like... Yeah, maybe it's like a case of... I guess I was picturing they're a bit higher up. Which they are, but not that high up. Okay, we're getting somewhere now. That kind of thing, I guess. So sometimes maybe I've made her short, like it's not broad enough. I'm wondering if they serve drinks as well, actually, now I think about it. That would make sense. That arm doesn't look right, does it? Let's have a think for a minute. I think sometimes I have to do it on the layer. What am I up to here, right? It's just for a minute, I just want to put the shirt on. I feel like I can't visualise what she looks like without the shirt on. Alright, that's a bit better already. Unless all of this like needs to move back a bit. It's all like playing it by ear sometimes. That's a shoulder, isn't it? To make logical sense. think that's like more logical than where I was at before. Also, it gives me a chance to show that Joni is also wearing an apron, but just not properly, as is her way. She doesn't look like herself when she hasn't got the plaits falling down, does she? Yeah, I think that makes more sense. Maybe that's part of it, it's that I need the bend a bit in the body, so that it shows that she's like leaning down, like that. And it's more of like, yeah, a rounded view rather than... Show off those muscles, Joni. Joni's so cool. I'm making her into a cool person, I'm telling you now. Maybe that arm's a little bit... I've kind of made that a bit too much, but you know what I mean. It's a bit too much going on there, but yeah, that makes some sense, doesn't it? She's passing it down. Got him the mug. Got him the drink as well. Do like a bit of a different drink because... Should his hands be reaching up or does that look weird? No, that kind of works actually. Yeah, we've got a cyclist in this bit who, the joke is that he is so quick on his bike, like he's always driving about so fast that she never actually sees him enough to know what he looks like. So literally, like in this scene, we see him like peering out the corner. Then we're going to see his hands here, and then we're just going to see him in the distance. And I think it's going to be one of those things where like we also in the comic don't see him clearly. So yeah, I don't know, little jokes I just put in for I don't know what reason, but you know. So yeah, that's where the menu's going to... That's where Tin is. Tin's over here. Maybe put the hint of the tomato there because there's not much room, is there? Could have that even lower down, really. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe here the till. It's like the logic of these things you don't really think about until you're like, you don't think it's that big of a deal, and then you're making it and you're like, actually there's loads of decisions that have to be made. But yeah, we've also got dialogue in this one as well, whereas we didn't have that in Tin's. He's just working away. So need a bit more room in this shot than in his, which is a bit different. And still need this panel as well. Oh, what time is it? It's 2:20. Okay, it's been an hour. Maybe I should, yeah, have a break of some kind. Yeah, and then maybe be ready to draw Joni in the next bit. Yeah. So yeah, we're halfway through page 1 of... It's actually going to be 6 in this, which I don't know why I've done that to myself. They've got longer every time, so the first one was 4 pages. Yeah, the second one was 5 pages. Yeah. And this is now 6 pages. They're a slightly different format because I've realised when I print it I want it to be A5 actually, I changed my mind, so I need to reformat some of them ready for print if I do print it eventually. I would like to print like this whole story arc. So like once I've finished it, to print like one that includes all the ones that are in this same story arc, if that makes sense. But yeah, this is page 1, and then we've got page 2. This is actually page 4, and then page 3, and then page 6, and page 5. But there's a lot going on in these ones. This page 6, I feel like it's going to be really hard, really difficult. Whereas some of the dialogue ones probably won't be too bad. There's quite a lot of just dialogue in this section. But it is quite dialogue heavy. I like writing dialogue. Yeah. So let's have a break for a minute. And reconvene. I don't know what it is today. I can't set up my tripod to save my life. It's going all over the place. I've got my tea. It's turmeric tea. What is it? Turmeric active? Turmeric. How do you say that? I don't know. It's good to have a hot drink in winter, but because I don't like coffee and I don't drink caffeine and all that kind of thing, it can be a bit hard to know what to have, which is why I got into herbal tea. It takes a while though, I think, to get into it. Well, it did for me. Recently I bought these mermaid. So I get distracted sometimes because literally I'm looking out a massive window as I speak to you. And I think if anyone looks up at this window, they probably think, good God, what is she doing? The spoon influencer up there. But yeah, I got these spoons with, I don't feel like you can see it very well. Oh, is it focusing for you? With mermaids on them. This is the tiny teaspoon, but it had a fork, a knife and a spoon. It's obviously for children, right? Because adults can't have anything fun, apparently. But I was like, what am I going to get, the mermaids or the teddy bears? But I would say this was like the best design. Even though I wouldn't say I'm like massively a mermaid person, it was just the nicest design. And I like the style. That's cute. And yeah, when I came home, my mum was like, you do realise they're for children? I was like, yes. It's funny, but I think this is actually helping me to draw. To like focus a bit, because it's kind of like the feeling you get when you're co-working. Like I'm sure you've experienced this maybe in school, in work or whatever, where like if you're studying with someone else, there's something about like you're studying, I'm studying, that atmosphere that kind of helps you to work and get on with it in a way that can be hard on your own, or if like everyone around you is doing something else. So this is kind of giving me that feeling. It kind of actually does to an extent anyway, normally, whenever I'm filming. It kind of gives me that feeling of like, I'm, you know, let's go on with this now. We're filming, we're making the video, we're drawing. But I think this is like making me feel it even more, which is quite nice actually. Because I work on my own a lot, pretty much all the time. I don't usually go anywhere to do my art anywhere, which I'm trying to like, you know, try and think about doing that, like at least going for walks and like sketching and things like that more. But it can be hard, you know, to get out, and it's hard for me all year round. I mean, it's hard in winter as well, especially, but I can find it just as hard in summer for some reason. I think yeah, it can be hard to just know what to do, know where to go. I like spending time on my own, but I don't know if I just do so much of that generally that I can get a bit tired of it, and sometimes when it comes to like going out of the house, I'm sort of like, for once I just want someone to tell me what to do to go with me, to not be on my own everywhere. So yeah, it's tough sometimes, especially when you work for yourself and you know, like I don't have any colleagues, I don't have any thing like that. I did like go to a exhibition recently where you know, it's a fairly local studio to me, and people, you know, people were asking me like, would you ever get a studio? And the thing is this is just such a, I just love this space, and I don't know, it's hard to like think about not working in here. I know the community aspect would probably do me good, but it's all just hard decisions sometimes, isn't it? I don't know if I'd want to do that. Just like it in here, and I like my own space, and I like working at home, honestly, most of the time anyway. So yeah, got to take the cons with the pros, I guess. What am I saying? Don't know. But yeah, I think this is a nice thing to do. It makes me feel like we're kind of working together in our strange parasocial way. Yeah. What else? I don't know what else to say. This is it. I think that's why I get talking so much when I'm working, because I'm used to just sitting in silence, or like I usually just watch TV, or you know, that kind of keeps me going. That kind of like a narrative of some kind helps me kind of, you know, think about that, get carried away with that, and that helps me keep going with the work and get through the time. But yeah, it's interesting doing this. Yeah, work like this. I think that's one side of this. To be honest, I can say that about life in general, but one side of this kind of work that I don't think people talk about, or maybe I'm just experiencing it more, I don't know, but that people may not know, I think, is just how lonely it is. Like, not even necessarily always causing you that feeling of loneliness, but like it's just very solitary. It's quite a solitary path, or like it has been for me. I mean, obviously, like what I do is one of many, like thousands and thousands of ways you could be an artist or an illustrator or a comic maker or whatever. But I think you can't fully get away from the fact of like, if you're making something that is your artwork, and you can't really have people like collaborating on it, then there comes a point where you have to sit down and make it, and that work is going to be on your own, and it's very rare that you'd have someone like, I don't know, with you through all that time, like just sat with you or whatever. Well, I don't anyway. Yeah, I remember I watched this YouTube video of like two manga artists, like in this quite big office, both drawing with all their stuff around them, like both drawing next to each other, working on their comics. And I was like, that's cute, but I don't have such a person who can sit next to me. I mean, we'd hardly fit in this room anyway, but it would be nice. I'm not saying that I would want like, I don't know, my partner or a friend to be doing the exact same thing as me. But, you know, so I think I'm gonna carry on now. And yeah, I'm just gonna actually just show you that comic that I was mentioning, not the manga that I was mentioning. I'll show that on here as I carry on. Yeah, let's go with it. So yeah, this is just to show you the manga I was talking about earlier that kind of reminded me that I could do bigger panels, and you know, that was nice. It's called Yokohama Keirashi Kiko, is that right? It's been around for a really long time. It was made, started being made before I was born, and I only just heard of it, but I really like it. It's like slice of life, and the main character is a robot running like a cafe. She's been sort of left by her owner. We don't sort of know why, but yeah, it's all like just really quite tiny little stories, just about like her life and her day-to-day things going on. But like I thought a good panel to show you was like, this is one where like there's more going on, you know, chatting and whatever. But even then, you know, there's still panels with like, you know, her face is quite large in the image and things like that. And then like you have ones like this where like there's an entire panel, you know, and yeah, quite big panels with really nice like nature imagery, and it feels quite atmospheric, I think. And yeah, I just think I found it quite inspiring. It's so fun reading such a big volume like this as well. But yeah, there's another page, but I can't remember now. Yeah, like this is like, there's a little section that's in colour, most of it's in black and white, but like, you know, again, like a whole page just of, you know, going down the road like that and, you know, driving along. Yeah, I just think sometimes when you're making a comic, you can be thinking, oh, how quickly can I kind of tell this story? But depending on the atmosphere, it's not, well, do you think that? I'm not saying people do think that, but I don't know, sometimes maybe you can worry, like, I've got to get as much, like, dialogue out as I possibly can in the next, like, page. And then you think, well, no, like, you know, it just reminded me that, you know, you don't have to rush to fill the page if you don't want to. You can, you know, make more of each panel. Yeah. So I was looking at my wall then. Right. Oh, we're not even on the actual file, we're just looking at it. Right. Oh. I think I feel a bit extra tired today because it's Saturday as well. Something about the weekend that just makes me feel tired. What is going on? My lord's moving about. Can it be weirdly nerve-wracking drawing comics? I don't know. Like, drawing comics. Like, drawing your characters. You can think, like, well, I don't want to mess this up. I want this to look right. I'm scared I've forgotten how to draw their face. It's funny. So obviously I don't want that expression, but I'm just going to, like, use it as a bit of a base to go on. Because sometimes I forget, like, how I draw her face, and she's obviously not looking, she's not as angry here, she's just looking, so her eyebrows can be more just normal. In fact, she looks a bit too worried there. We just want normal, calm eyebrows. And she's going to be a bit smiley, which isn't necessarily in her nature all the time, but you can tell this is a tough bit because I'm not rambling on as much. I think that's alright, but she's not really looking in the right direction. Because she'd be looking like down, wouldn't she? So, hang on, that's not working. No, I think I need to take the, I'm going to just ignore that for a minute. I wonder if she needs to look a bit more like... Terrible! Nope, it's lost. Hang on, is that what I tend to do? I think I do that, do I? No, don't shade it like that. What ear is it in? No, she's got an earring on one side, I can't remember which. I actually quite like that. It doesn't necessarily look exactly right, but I actually like the vibe of it. That's what's funny sometimes, is like I don't have to, sometimes I'm drawn to just like how something feels rather than it being perfect. It's like that, it gives a bit of a vibe, I don't know why. think the hair at the top, I need to redo it a bit. So that it's almost not far enough now. I think about there it wants to be. I think she still doesn't look quite happy enough. Too happy, some would say. Oh, what is going on? Darkness has fallen. Darkness kind of fell then. I've been doing this on quite a low light as well. Can I turn the brightness up while this is still working? I don't think I can. One moment. Terrible. I wonder if Joni actually is missing a bit of her chin now. I don't know why I keep saying that colour drop. Ignore it people. It won't break me down. Awful. I can't get it right. Okay, we're getting somewhere. I can feel it in my bones. I think this is the one. Yes. Is that okay like that? Yeah. Oh, I like it. Wow, she looks happy. And she's a bit of a miserable character sometimes, so... much like myself. Yeah, I like that. It needs... We don't want her lower lip to be too low down because she's meant to be smiling, and that kind of thins your lips out, doesn't it, a bit? Yes, I do usually do a... But yeah, as people are reading this, like, I'm aware Joni does not look consistent. I think we're just going to have to I think that's the point. Like, I'm trying to learn, you know, and I could sit and do a million studies and, you know, then be good at enough to make a comic. But the thing is, I would get bored of it. I would get really bored and I just wouldn't want to do it. So I would never make anything. Like, I'd rather just learn by doing and not get really bored. Like, of course exercises are important. But I like telling stories and narrative and all that kind of thing. So why not just do it and learn as you go? I don't know. I know it's not... I think everyone's just got to do what they want to do in their process. Whatever your art process is, just do it. And it doesn't matter if it's not what other people would do. As long as you're not, like, using AI or something soulless like that. You know, whatever your art process is, apart from using AI, then I support it. Or I don't know, your art process is something scary or something. Cool. But yeah, you develop as an... Also, like, you know, you develop as an artist, you change, and your work will change, and that's okay. You know, if you look back at a lot of... If you have a favourite cartoon, to bring up Bob's Burgers yet again, but you watch the first, like, season of that, you probably will notice, unless it's made by, like, a very established, like, absolutely always know what they're doing, animation company, you will notice changes in the animation style and everything. And that's okay. You can get better. I feel like her hair's looking wilder in this in this bit, but I'm like, I don't mind that necessarily. I need to do the plaits, that's what I thought of. Oh, this is it again, I write down how many plaits she has. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I tend to do like 5 bunches of plaits. Oh, damn it. Smells like a baguette, isn't it? Or like those rope buns. Does anybody know what the heck I'm talking about? I don't like that. No. I think 'cause she's leaning forward, I will put them on this one as well. Like, maybe I could have put it behind her shoulder, but I think because she's, like, leaning over a bit, then they would, like, naturally maybe fall in front of her. Sorry, you're hearing them. Might hear some background noise now, my dad's doing who knows what. Joni's hair is like, it's effort, but I like it. I love drawing hair, absolutely love drawing hair. Short, long, whatever. Hang on, we're gonna have to pause for a minute. I love checked shirts, flannel shirts. I've forgotten though how, like, hang on, how, like, it's hard to remember, like, what you draw things like. Like, how big is the collar on this shirt? Actually, it's quite a simple shirt. I've done myself a favour here. I have a shirt that is somewhat like Joni's shirt. It's more different colours than just the orange, but I think that's why I picked it. Okay, I need to think about the because I want the apron to kind of give that effect of she's tucked the shirt into it, kind of like tin here. You know, so it makes sense because that is what you would do. Although, would you? Maybe you wouldn't tuck the shirt in, but you'd tuck your t-shirt in. I don't know. No, I don't know. Let's just say that's what this person does. This is what Joni does, alright? And I get to decide that. Right. See, this is a bit quicker now because I know what I'm doing, and it's like I can just, I'm like, okay, I'm on it now. I think that's the funny thing about character design. You can want to do so much with your characters, but the reality is, like, it's cool for them to have cool outfits, for example, is what I mean. But at the same time, you don't want to make it so complicated that you're giving yourself like tons of work every time you're drawing them. It's like, how do you keep that balance? Like, I know that I'm doing this for like the first time ever, so I'm trying not to give myself like I'm not trying not to make it really hard for myself, because I know that my skill is not there yet to manage it. So like, if I give them really elaborate like character designs, it's just not going to work out. And also sometimes just a few like iconic things are enough. It's kind of like Louise's hat, to mention Bob's Burgers for the, what, 7th time. Louise's hat is like iconic, isn't it? You know, you can instantly picture it if you know the show. But like, it's not, her actual character design is quite simple. Like, she wears a green dress. She has hair that she keeps down and it's covered up with that iconic hat. And that's that. It's not like a really complex design or anything. Hands, here we go. I said about webtoon, but I can't recommend you like many webtoons that I've read. So I need to like I just haven't read that many, even though I like it. I haven't read that many consistently, so I need to. I feel like I need to go on a time of discovery to like really see what's on there. But I've actually enjoyed being on there so far, because for one, it's like actually set up for reading comics, obviously, because that's what, if you don't know, that is what webtoon is. It is for webcomics. This is going to be a print comic eventually, but like for now, it's fine that it's but now it's like, it's mainly on the web, is what I'm trying to say. So it's cool that I can also share it online. And when you do share it online, it's hard for people to read it, because they're just not, it's just not kind of the environment for it, like on, say, Instagram or TikTok or anything, because like I've had a lot of success with short comics that people can read like in the space of a few slides, and you know, they get the whole story. But something like this, where people have to kind of invest in a story for longer, it just doesn't interest people as much, because they're wanting something that is like, I can look at this one post and get the whole thing, if that makes sense. What am I doing? That's her thumb, isn't it? Yeah. So yeah, you don't want to. So yeah, it's just not ideal. It's not ideal for people to read on TikTok. So I was like, webtoon's cool. I don't know many people personally who use it, but I was like, doesn't mean I can't use it. I can't give it a go. So that's what I've done. And actually, it's kind of cool because, for one, I was able to chop it up and get it on there easier than I thought. I think partly because I'd done research before about how to put stuff on webtoon, so I wasn't going in completely like not knowing what the heck I was doing. But also, I think in my head I built it up that it would be a lot harder than it actually was. And it actually was fine. You know, the odd little Google to like sort something out, but apart from that, it wasn't like hugely complicated. And then like I've actually already got a few like little followers on there, and people reading it. And I think that's kind of cool, to say that I've literally only put like 2 little tiny sections on it. Also, I think it will motivate me to complete the comic, like keep going with it, because like in my head I'm aware that what I've done so far will like run out in early December, well, like mid-December, something like that. So, you know, I want to have more to share by then, otherwise potentially people lose interest, like, and I think that is quite a good thing to sometimes have that external motivation to, I mean, I say that I usually really dislike external motivation, but I mean, it's quite a soft external motivation of the kind of thing of like, it would be great if I didn't really leave a gap between the next little section that I could put on. So knowing that even kind of helped me to get on with it, get on with this one, because I thought, yeah, I want to be ready to upload some more, because, you know, if people do do get interested in it, I want them to be able to continue with the story, and look forward to it. So, yeah. But yeah, I think it's just nice to have it on a dedicated, like, comic platform where people are, they're going on to it to read comics. That is what they are doing. So, you know, they're interested in comics. They're people who like comics. So, yeah. I love it. I love Webtoon users. It's not just Webtoon, I should say. There's loads of other apps that you could upload to as well. Well, I say loads. I don't know if there's loads. Here I am again with the thoughts going here, there, and everywhere. But yeah. Yeah, it can be hard when you're making something like this. You know, you can have moments of real. I mean, generally in my art practice, you know, I go through phases. I've just kind of come out of one recently. I'm on the up from one recently where I was really, really down about the way my art is going, and just worrying that I can't sustain this as a path. But you know, you try and keep on. What am I doing? Sorry, I'm just like talking really deep and then randomly going, what am I doing? You can get quite discouraged sometimes doing this kind of work. Like, you put so much effort into things, and then it can come to like not a lot or nothing, or the actual. It's all such a slow. You know what I heard the other day, which was a really good thing that, you know, just reminded me. I've heard this a million times, but it just was a particularly good reminder. Was like the thing of it being a marathon and not a sprint, and that is really what it's like. This kind of work that I do specifically. I can't speak for other kinds of art careers, but I think that is so true. It isn't you know, something that, you know, you can just be. I don't know. You very rarely, if you are the rare lucky few, if you like have massive success overnight, or even like in the first couple of years of doing this, it can be, you know, you can, already I've given like a lot of years of work to my art, for, you know, for it to still be really, really slow, and it's hard sometimes, you know. Does that look right? I don't know. I feel like I want it to be a bit more in the middle and not as like thick. Yeah. I often have these days where I'm just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Which people have in all kinds of, you know, I get down about it, and then I'm like, look, everybody feels this about, you know, they could be doing something that I think sounds incredible, and they can still be like, what am I doing with my life? You know, that's better. So it's, yeah, I think it's that thing of just trying to keep going. Just trying to keep going. That's what I end up talking myself around to, of like, I also remind myself I'm very lucky. I'm in a very privileged position to pursue this at all. So I really try and hold on to that as much as I possibly can. But I'm sure anyone who like has struggled mentally and stuff will tell you, like, it's like your brain just cannot compute with that at times. It's like it just cannot feel that, even though you're logically like, come on, you know. It's difficult. But I'm really trying to hold on to that at the moment. And yeah, I think to myself that it's all kind of groundwork that I'm laying. It's steps on the marathon, but, you know, it's a long way to any kind of finish line. I mean, there isn't a finish line, so to speak. And that's actually weirdly what I like about art, is that it's kind of like endless. You never have to say, right, well, I've done that now, so I've completed art. For me, I just like want to keep going with this till the end, basically. Like, I just want to keep making stuff and tell stories, and hopefully one of them will comfort someone in some way, be meaningful to someone, and that will be my job done on this earth, I think. That's all I'm really hoping for. And then generally, obviously, in I do want to do more than that to try and help people, but probably be in other ways. Be a good friend. Try and be a good, I don't know, try and get in the community a bit more. Things like that. Oh dear. I bet you're thinking, what did I sign up for when I started this video? Because it's not this. It's November evening vibes, isn't it? That's what it is. I can't tell if I'm like making I feel like I'm making the amount of squares a bit much, but it's fine. Like the density of the squares, guess what I'm meaning. But it's certainly not so obvious that I'm going to do all that again, I don't think. Something has to be quite bad for me to bother doing it again. It's not out of like pure laziness, it's just I like to leave things a bit rough around the edges. I don't know, why be a perfectionist? I am a bit of a perfectionist, but I try not to be. That's the thing, I have to like fight that tendency. I personally fight it a lot because I'm like, I would never get anything done if I just let the perfectionist side of myself take over. Are there buttons on a shirt, or did I just leave them off for like convenience? I can't remember. No, they're all right side. I've done it on there. Again, is it consistent? Who knows? Probably not. But we're trying. Hey, do you know what? It could be worse. Oh, I've accidentally took the shelf out there. That's okay though. Maybe I'll make it a little bit shorter, because I just obviously want to give the effect that, like, when you're in a food van, I feel like you're not usually like this is probably like quite high up, isn't it, to you in the food van, I feel. But she could be standing on a step or something to reach down. That's my logic. Now I thought it'd be quite cool here if like this line met. So that I'm like ruining that basically, aren't I? Actually no, I'll tell you what, I'll just draw it. Wait. Like my idea was that this line would carry on. But that's gonna be hard, isn't it? Because I've now made it like that. Hang on, let's actually give it a good guide. Right, well, for one, the line on that side isn't straight at all. Good try, Sam. Right, I tell you what, I'll straighten this one up first because I've actually drawn that really lopsided, haven't I? Straight line. Okay, so that can be way lower down. Yeah, I just thought visually it'd be quite cool if the line like continued. I do try and be inventive sometimes, believe it or not. Goodness me. Straight lines, my ultimate nemesis. Apart from colour, which I'm also terrible at. Right, here we go. She can afford to be a bit smaller, I think, in this layer. So I might just make her slightly smaller, because Tin's a bit, like, Tin is meant to be taller than her, and a bit bigger than her as well. Like, his head's meant to be a bit bigger, roughly. Not hugely, but put it to the side a little bit as well, so that we've got a bit more room. Yeah, that works, doesn't it? Oh, hang on, we don't need to be too to the side because I don't want it to infringe on that too much. Yeah, we'll go with that. I forgot that I need a bit more. It is a bit annoying, is it? Always, yeah, that is annoying. I don't necessarily want it to... I feel like it does mess up the resolution, that. Actually, shall I leave it the same size but just move it down? Yeah, maybe that's the way to do it. Can't really have her infringing on that because... Oh, it's difficult, isn't it? It kind of does work though to do that. Unless I did a bit of a funky thing with this panel and moved it down slightly. There's no real harm in that, is there? If anything, people might think I was trying to be interesting. Like, oh, it doesn't have to line up, everyone. Like, do it like that, like a square down. People probably think I was being really cool doing that, so that it would be there instead. Yeah. And then can afford to move her a bit over. I just don't want it to cut off her entire apron because, that's part of the whole visual. Right. So, give it that and... But we are going to see her apron again later. I'm just annoyed because I actually did quite well with those loops and now we're going to not see them. Honestly. It's typical, isn't it? Okay, it's getting quite dark now. Oh, this is the north for you. I don't think I'm going to quite finish this whole page. I don't know if I want to draw... I'd have to draw a bike, and I can tell you, I don't think I've got the brain space for drawing a bike, because they are really hard to draw. I don't know if you know this, but bikes are... Anything that has detail like that has to be right, stresses me out. Okay, I think... How much of a gap is that going to leave there? Yeah, that's fine. I quite like this vibe of them, escaping the panel. It's quite nice. Come on, Procreate, that wasn't quite accurate, was it? That wasn't just me then. I think that's slightly tilted down and you can tell. Oh, gosh. My back's aching now. Yeah, just for, you should stretch and things like that. People watching this, don't lead by my example. Stretch, take breaks, ignore me. How long should this be? Maybe only about there. Leave a bit more room for Tin. Yeah. Not straight again. I do think what maybe this does show, which I don't know, might be interesting or not, I don't know. Is just like how much like time and energy you spend on each panel. And obviously, like, if I was more skilled and I was like a real pro, I'd probably be like way quicker because I'd be more confident and I'd be just like, I'd hardly have to like recheck things and go over a pan, like how I want a pan to look 20 times. But but the reality is that's where I'm at this moment. But yeah, don't get yourself down if like me, you know, it takes you a long time to do these things because it takes years to be like a really confident comic artist and to learn these things. And it doesn't matter how long you take. At the end of the day, it's if you do it, you do it, and you made it, and that's all people just want to see what you've made at the end of the day. They don't really, I don't know, maybe it's this like the fast-pacedness of the world that like makes us think we have to do everything. Like, you know, if we're making a comic, we have to make 7 pages every week, and you know, yeah, I'm like managing a section. This will probably take me 3 weeks work, maybe, probably, if not more. I'm actually, if anything, I'm getting quicker now already, and this is already not taking me quite as long as I expected. But like, here we are, it's been 4 hours nearly, and all I've drawn is, I finished this one and I've drawn this one panel, so I think that just shows you like how long it can take. But I'm pleased with it. I've got the reaching hands. Hands, my favourite thing. I'm just going to do quite basic hands here. Oh, it's quite fun because he's got the biking gloves on, so that can help. And actually, they wouldn't be too big, would they? Because Joni's hands aren't too big in this frame, in the scale of things. They look a bit too small, though. Yeah, and yeah, we are going to have the... Oh, I did do myself a favour and not make the biker gloves particularly complicated because I thought this is hard enough already without me giving the guy incredibly complicated biking gloves. And I did already like shade them in, so I'm going to continue doing that. I actually have some fingerless gloves I need to wash. Actually, they don't tend to go that high, do they? Or do they? I don't know. No, they're not even that high on his original drawing, so let's not do that. Where do they go to? Like there? Maybe that isn't accurate. Maybe they do go longer. Does anybody ride a bike? I'm not very good on a bike. I'm really bad at balancing. And I'm scared of cars. You would think that, like, yeah, if anybody's watching this from like a different part of the world or whatever, I live in the English countryside, as they say. the northern English countryside. And you may think that it's all like, I don't know, like it would be the perfect place to ride a bike. It's really hard. Like there's no bike lanes practically anywhere, and people drive terribly. Cars are everywhere. So yeah, if you think that we're all like riding our bikes, you know, having the time of our lives, I can tell you, we're not. And you take your life in your own hands when you set off on that road. Right. Maybe a bit of movement here. And she's going to say, here you go, Marcus, because he's a regular, he's got a name. Yeah, is that going to break out of them? Sometimes what I do is I put the speech bubbles on another layer. I might do that now, actually. And then just put them back again. Because it's quite hard to like get rid of the line if you end up going over it. How big do I tend to do the letters? I think they tend to be at least thing high, but I've actually changed my drawing guide, so that's not helpful, is it? That's annoying. Because I draw my text, it's actually quite hard to keep it consistent. But I quite like drawing it with my handwriting, but saying that, one day maybe I'll just use typed text. I don't know. Or some people do that thing where they like make a font, don't they? I haven't bothered with that. I have actually done that before though, the font thing. Many moons ago. Text is another thing that can just look wrong for reasons that are like hard to understand. No, I think she's happy, but I don't think she's at exclamation levels of cheery. I tend to make my speech bubbles quite sort of squared off, just like that vibe. Do I want it to impede on Tin's bit? I don't think I do. Yeah, because we've got a lot of overlapping, but I like the elbow, and I don't really want the elbow to be like erased by the speech bubble. Right. Main picture. Get rid of that line. And then just put that, hang on, just put that back on there. There we go. Right. And then there's just another section here. I think I'll just draw the box and then I'm going to call it a day because I'm not going to draw that now. As I've said, drawing a bike right now is not in my... It's not a good idea. Allow that to be a bit nearer. Brilliant. So yeah, this last scene is just going to be, you can't really see it clearly, but I'll just make it a bit less opaque for a minute. It's going to be the guy Marcus, like whizzing away on his bike, saying, "Thanks, see you tomorrow, Joni." And Joni's going, sort of, bloody hell, look at him go. Look at him race away there. I probably could draw it, but should I do it? I'm actually in two minds now about whether I should just do it. Maybe I'll draw Joni. Oh, what am I like? I never know when to stop. There's something about like finishing a page, but then, do you know, I say that, and then actually when I come back to, do you know, I am going to leave it, because often the next day when I come back to like just finishing a page, it feels less daunting than like starting a whole new page. Also, I need to do this section yet, so I need to not forget that. I've got to do that bit. Leave myself a little note there. I'm just going to take that off for a second though, so we can look at what I've done today. So, yeah. So, that page. Yeah. It's a bit shiny, isn't it? Because of the light in the room now. I can just slightly turn the brightness down. It's really hard for me to get it in shot. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I'll turn the camera around and say goodbye to you for the video, not to the world. Hang on. So, believe it or not, it's only 4 PM right now, not midnight as it may look in this level of darkness. It's very grey outside, and it's not going to be long before we are in complete darkness, so I am going to call it a day now. But I'm pleased with what I've got done today. It may not seem like a lot, but maybe having literally watched me make it, you can see that it is actually quite a lot of work. So yeah, we're at this point. Is it clear? I am actually pleased with it though, because I was excited about these panels. You know, like I say, I haven't actually drawn them in the food truck yet working. So it was fun to do that. And yeah, it maybe showed how even some of the like, just the little details can actually be really hard to figure out and to know when you're doing them right for what you want to do. But yeah, I'm pleased with my progress today, and like the line work is definitely the hardest bit. Even though I don't love colour, the colouring process is usually, like, because I've got like a palette I work to now, it's a bit more like kind of paint by numbers. Like, it takes time and effort, but it's not as bad as this where I'm having to do a lot of problem solving. It's kind of like once the line work's there, a lot of it's all there. Because I do quite flat colouring anyway, because I like that style. I like that kind of flat, like animation style art. So yeah, so that stage of the work is not like generally as difficult. So it always feels like quite an achievement to get tough bits of line work done. But yeah, so yeah, it's been about so yeah, how long has this been? It's been about 4 hours, this, hasn't it? So I'm pleased with that for a Saturday afternoon. Thank you for watching this, and I hope it helped you get something done, or I don't know, it was just a bit of, you know, something to have in the background while you were doing something else. And yeah, I'm pleased with the comic so far, and gonna keep working on it. If you like this format video, do let me know, because I don't know, I was just thinking how like sometimes when I try and show the process of like an entire section of the comic, I end up filming so much, but then like cutting it down loads because it's so long, and just showing it very briefly. And I think sometimes it's kind of the same thing over and over, like like how my comic is drawn is going to be fairly similar. So I don't know what I'm getting at. I'm just trying different things, just trying different ways of sharing my work and sharing my artist life, I guess. So yeah, this is, I guess, a day in the artist's life where I had no plans and I thought, let's just work for an afternoon. And yeah, if you have never seen me before and you do like the comic, or you think you might like it, as I say, it's on Webtoon now. It's not like up to date on Webtoon. I'm gonna try and get them even now, where like people on Webtoon would be seeing it, no later than people on Instagram or whatever. But it'll just take me a while to get up to that because I'm sort of using the advanced time to make this new section. So what I mean is, if you want to skip ahead and see all that I've made so far, you can look at it on TikTok or Instagram. Or it is currently on my website, but I'm thinking of maybe taking that off because I've got it on Webtoon now. So it's maybe just a bit of wasted space on the website. Anyway. But yeah, and I also, draw lots of other things. I usually draw soft sci-fi kind of things, but I also do lots of other things. I'm not like absolutely married to making soft sci-fi all the time or for the rest of my life kind of thing. I want to be able to make whatever I want to make and evolve and grow and all that kind of thing. Yeah, you can find lots of different things. I have a zine about dogs, I have a zine with a fox character, I have a zine about a fish character going to get fish and chips, well, just chips actually. And I recently did some drawings that I got printed. One is like a little comic, one-page comic. One is like a cyborg character. Everything's on my shop, on my Instagram and YouTube. We're on YouTube, TikTok, things like that. So yeah, just have a look if you're interested. And do comment, let me know. Obviously this was like basically stream of consciousness, a lot of this, so I do apologise if I like fumbled over my words or I said things in a way that was confusing or I just said things that don't make sense or I don't know, please don't read into what I said too much, like, I don't know. Just be mindful that it was very unscripted, the very opposite of scripted. Although I never script my videos, but yeah. I think that's about it to say, and I'm quite tired now. I feel quite sleepy at 4 p.m. I think my eyes are tired. Your eyes obviously get really tired making stuff like this. So I guess it's just thank you for thank you for joining me in the art room, and I hope you will maybe join me again. Definitely please let me know what you thought of this. Comments really, really help me out to just know if I'm going in the right direction or I need to change things or you have different ideas. I really, really appreciate it. So yeah, just thank you so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or evening or whatever. Yeah, thank you for joining me on this quiet Saturday. Okay, goodbye then.